And I'd like to welcome you all to our iPad journey session where we're going to explore the basics and beyond of the iPads that we use. All right, and thank you so much for joining our session today. The WildTech DC Senior Digital Equity Program, its owners and presenters offer technical assistance, virtual health, well-being information designed for education purposes only. You should not rely on the information, any apps or topics made by WildTech, including but not limited to mobile device and applications and any social media pages maintained by WildTech, its owners, or presenters as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or legal advice. Thank you so much for letting me read the disclaimer. If you cannot see me, hear me, or see the screen, please let me know in the chat. You always do a great job with that, so thank you. Let's make sure to keep our TVs and cell phones silenced to give others and ourselves the most immersive experience. And as always, make sure you take notes and or screenshots so you can review the information for later. For this session, as most of our other ones will be posted on our YouTube channel, so you can also review this session as well. Today, we are, of course, going to have an introduction of the iPad. We're going to learn about getting started with your iPad, some core features and apps, some productivity tips you can utilize when using your iPad, some personalization options and settings that you can utilize, again, when using your iPad, and have our Q&A, our overview, and other additional questions, any comments, have some questions for you all as well, and some final tips. So once again, thanks so much for joining our session today. Let's go ahead and get started with our introduction. All right, so most of us have a 9th generation iPad, so that's what I'm going to be mainly focusing on, but some of us may have a 7th generation iPad. So it mirrors many of the things that we talk about with the 9th gen. I'm actually using a 7th gen iPad to present, but of course I have my 9th one that I usually use for our session, okay? So the iPad 9th generation, it came out in 2021, remains one of the best entry-level iPads, even 4 years later, offering a balance of performance, affordability, and versatility. It's affordable and powerful, so it's ideal for students. Many students these days use an iPad for many various things, take notes, etc. Casual users, so really, us in a way, most likely persons to, utilize it, and those new to the iPad experience, because it's such a entry-level device, but it still has many of the capabilities of some newer devices as well. So it's really stood the test of time, and I loved using my iPad. It's definitely becoming or has become a daily use for many different things, which we're going to talk about today. It has a very classic design. It features a 10.2-inch Retina display. So, and it's a very large display, a large screen. So anyone with visual impairments, this is a great iPad to use or to start off with because of the screen is really, really huge. It has True Tone, which I'll talk about in a second, but basically adjusting like the lights and colors of the screen for a comfortable viewing experience, and retains the home button with Touch ID. Some newer iPads don't have a home button, just like some newer iPhones don't have a home button. So this one right here, my iPhone right does not have a home button and uses Face ID. And then right here is an iPhone with a home button. So this one utilizes Touch ID, okay? So yes, it features a very classic design, and I love it. It's very sleek and simple. It has iPad OS, so the operating system, and long software support. So the operating system, so basically what allows for you to do the things on the iPad just by by tapping, by clicking, by holding, those simple gestures that we can utilize to navigate the device. Offers widgets, we'll talk about that later on, and productivity enhancements. And your device, when you receive it, it offers years of software updates. So the device you will have when new operating system comes out, when new updates and new upgrades come out, the iPad that you have will last very, very long. So like this iPad, I think we started off with iPad OS 15 when I first started. So now we're on 18, and iPad still, works great. So it's been some years, and even with the upgrades and updates, it still works very, very well, or very close to what it did when I first received it. So I hope you feel the same way as well. And then it has an excellent battery life. So we've mentioned this in module 2, but the 9th gen iPad has up to about 10 hours of battery life on a single charge, perfect for all day use. So literally, if you have the iPad on and don't turn the screen off and utilize it, then you still have about 10 hours. Most folks are not going to be on the iPad in that manner. So it's literally all day use. You could use it all day. And even after the day is over, you may not even have to charge it because it has great battery life. It just depends on what you're doing. If you're watching more videos or playing more games, certain kinds of games that require more like energy or more of the power, etc. So these things may change, but on average, it's about 10 hours. Even about 2, maybe 3 years later, it's still great. So the battery life, what my suggestion to look at the information about your battery life is to go into settings, and I'll probably mention this later on as well. And then you're going to find where it says battery, okay? It's one of the first options here in settings on the left-hand side. And then you can look at information regarding your battery usage. I could see what apps take up about how much of the battery. So it makes sense. Zoom, it's about 50% of the battery. I mainly use this iPad for Zoom. So that makes sense. So you can see what apps take up the most battery. So that way, if you feel like, your iPad may not be lasting as long, keep in mind a few years, etc. after you get it, even if you use it many times during the day. It's just a good idea to see what's going on. So everything checks out. And I use the Zoom most and uses the most battery on here, then the App Store, then my Photos app. So, but as you can see, it tells me it's about an hour and 43 minutes for today, right? For this iPad. So again, everything makes sense with the numbers that you see. So again, if you go into settings, if you hit battery, you can look at your battery information and also, of course, turn off your battery percentage. You see at the top right, either I can have it on or off. I can see the battery percentage. But for me, and I'm gonna have it on. Why have it off, right? I mean, it's a kind of a little bit of a sleeker look, but it's so minuscule. But it's important for me now. I'm at 53%. So that's why I like that. And then you can turn low power mode on or off from here. You can do that in the control center. We'll talk about that in a second, and we have in modules before. But I just wanted to highlight these things about the iPad. It's really, really there, for your success. It's very versatile for many different persons. So just a few folks before we move on to the next section. You can unmute and share if you like, but why do you like your iPad? What is one of the main reasons that you use your iPad? What do you like about it? Any comments on the iPad, just in general? We have folks from many different, if you've used it for more than others, etc. So yes, thanks, Yvonne.
Yeah, how about screenshots? When you take screenshots, does that come under photos or what?
Oh, okay. So that's, yes, when you take a screenshot of it does go to your Photos app. So, and you'll be able to see all of the different kinds of photos in the Photos app using the folder. So yes, but I love taking screenshots. I love that feature of the iPad. It's really convenient. So that way you may not have to write as many things down, or it's just a quick way to save information. Is that what you like about the iPad?
Yeah, I do a lot of screenshots too, but I was just wondering how that impacts your battery.
So I would say, Yvonne, when you take, it doesn't take up much battery to take a screenshot. It's a very simple procedure. So as you can see, the battery most of the time is going to be taken up by apps. So if I go into the battery section like I did before right here, I can see that again, most or all of the batteries being taken up by the app. So small things like screenshots or just navigating won't take up most percentage at all.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Alex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do see some hands, but Ms. Dolores, did you have something to share?
Yes, I use the iPad to, FaceTime, screenshot, play solitary games, and also to watch movies. And also
Yes.
and basically to attend this class to learn more about the iPad. So that's my reason for using it. And I do appreciate having it because it's very convenient for me. So that's the purpose for me using the iPad.
Oh, same here. I could say everything you just said, and I use it too, which many other folks do, which is why it's so loved and it's really convenient. It's, I thank you so much for sharing that, Miss Dolores. I appreciate that.
Yes.
All right, I see we have two hands, and then I think we'll go on to the next section. But thank you so much, you guys. We have Miss Celeste. What do you like about the iPad?
I like the different things that I can use, like the Bible app. I like the fact that I can Google information instead of going to my phone because, like you said, a bigger screen when I have to Google some information. So I like that. And also use the feature Siri.
Yes. I love Siri. We're going to mention and talk about her later on
Yeah, I
today
love
too.
getting information from there. But yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Celeste, for sharing. We really appreciate it. And then Miss Cunningham, thanks so much for joining. What do you like about the iPad? What do you use it for? Make sure you hit unmute in
Yeah.
the middle, okay?
Yes, I'm like her. She uses it for the Bible app. I like to take it to church with me and use it in church as my Bible. It works perfectly. I can, instead of flipping to pages so much, I can get right straight to the verse. It's so quick to stand up. It's perfect.
Yes, because they usually
Favorite
these
part,
books,
yeah.
they usually have a table of contents, and when you're looking at like on a book or something similar online, so and instead of having to flip through the pages, as you said, you can just click on whatever chapter, whatever section of the book that you're looking for. So yes, no, that makes me so happy. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, you guys. And of course, any other comments, please share them during if they apply, because we talked about many different things today, but also at the end as well. All right, okay, we're having fun, guys. Thanks so much. So now we're going to talk about getting started with your iPad. So many of you know this already, but it's always a great review and just to, again, go over some things. So first up, with the iPad, it's really important to know how to power it on. If you ever fully shut off the power of your iPad, you're going to use the power button here. That is where the number 2 is on this picture. I wish I could zoom in a little bit more, but that is the power button. So if you ever feel the need to really conserve power on your iPad, except you don't have access to a charger, but you need it for whatever reason, again, I love the battery life. So I very seldom in that ever situation. But if I ever needed to fully shut off the iPad, so look, it's on right now, but if I wanted to fully shut it off, I can hold the power button, okay? I can hold the power button, and then you see it comes up, and I'm showing you all on my video right here, the slide to power off feature, okay? Again, I very seldom power my own device off. Typically, it only shuts off when I do a update, but just to know if you ever need to conserve power in a certain situation, you can do so, okay? And once you fully power it off, you hold that power button again until you see the Apple logo and your device will turn on, okay? So if you ever feel like you need to shut it off for those reasons, etc., you can. But I typically have my iPad on, but just the screen off most of the time, or when I'm not using it, of course, okay? Connecting to Wi-Fi. So, all of us on the call today, I most likely are going to be on Wi-Fi because again, there's no longer data on the iPads. So wherever you're at, I've heard some folks say, hey, I was somewhere and I couldn't get on or couldn't get connected to the internet. So it's really, really important to make sure you're connected to the Wi-Fi wherever you're at, okay? So you're gonna find your Wi-Fi settings in settings. Pretty easy, right? Like we talked about before with the battery, and you're gonna click on Wi-Fi or tap on Wi-Fi. And when you do, you will see based on this picture, the networks, but if you've connected to a network already, it will be under My Networks as well. And you can, again, just basically check the status of your Wi-Fi connection. But you can also do that, of course, with the top right. You notice you have the battery percentage, and then right next to it at the top right is my AirPods icon, my headphones icon, and then the Wi-Fi icon. So I know that it's on by looking at that icon there at the top right, okay? But once again, let me go back to here. When you click on Wi-Fi, you can check the information to make sure you're connected to the Wi-Fi where you're at, so that way you can connect to the internet. Of course, without internet, you won't be able to go on FaceTime or Zoom or access a new web page. Some games require the internet too. So yes, whenever I'm out and about though, what I do recommend, if you have a hotspot on your phone, so on my iPhone, I go to settings, and because my cellular plan has a personal hotspot option, I can basically turn that on. So if you have an iPhone, you would go to settings, and then under cellular, if you have a hotspot, it will say personal hotspot. And then you can see how to turn it on and off from here. So if I have to use my iPad when I'm out and about and I don't have connection, I would use my hotspot from my phone. Okay, so that's just one tip. I hope that's helpful. But just making sure, you keep your Wi-Fi password to yourself, just like with other passwords, etc. So make sure you take that and note, okay? Okay. Yeah, and I see your comment, Yvonne. Yes, definitely if there is like no other, if your screen is like frozen, etc., that's when I would power my iPad off. That hasn't happened. Not in a long time, but I cannot remember the last time that happened. So I would maybe do in that situation. But for new emails, I would just refresh the inbox within the app that you're using versus powering it off. It just I would definitely recommend that, because turning it off and turn it back on, it doesn't take too long, but it does take some time. So if there's any other way to go about it, then I would try that. Okay. On number 3 is setting up Apple ID, or as they say in iPadOS 18, is Apple account. So it's that's what it's called now, even though I still wrote ID, but keeping that in mind. Okay, they're calling it Apple account now. But this is what it will generally look like on your device. Okay, so right here, this is what your Apple ID info looks like on an iPhone. This is actually what it looks like on a Mac computer, right? But I just wanted to showcase that. It looks very similar even amongst different devices. If I go to my settings and I hit my name, so at the top left, it says Wild Tech Training, but usually it would be your name right there. And then you can see your Apple ID information. So anything regarding your Apple ID, etc., can be found here in settings. What can you do in that? You can adjust any email, phone number, like your name that comes up. So like this example right, it says Ashley Rico. If you wanted to change Ashley Rico to another name, you could adjust it there. Password and security. So you can adjust your Apple ID password, etc., change it, other options too, okay? Payment and shipping. If you pay for something with your iPad, with your Apple account information, that's where that information will be at. And then subscription. So if you have subscribed to Apple Music or the Apple News or one of the bundles that they have, it would appear in subscriptions. If you have any subscriptions to any apps, so if you pay monthly fee for an app, or if you do pay for iCloud Plus, you will see though that in the subscriptions box. Below that, again, some more app. This is all having to do with your Apple ID. Okay, iCloud, that allows you to store different information in the cloud. Media and purchases, anything regarding the App Store. Find My is the Find My app. And there's also family sharing options. I haven't talked about that too much, but I certainly will in a later session as well. But basically, you can have others under your Apple ID, but it's not actually your Apple ID. Like they have it under yours. So I don't want to explain it wrong, but it's very convenient. If you have multiple little ones in your home that have their devices, and you want to just kind of monitor what they do or share, you can check that out in Family Share. Okay, and of course you can see some other devices that are logged in the same Apple ID. So if I look right here, Ashley has an iPhone and a MacBook, so a laptop under the same Apple ID. So if you have an iPhone and you have your iPad and you're logged into the same Apple ID on both, then it would say that it's under both devices because they're signed in to both of those devices. Okay. And then last but not least for this section is the home screen, okay? So the home screen, this is where all of your apps are located, amongst other things. So it's so important to be able to navigate and like swipe. So you see I'm swiping between the screens so I can see all of the different apps that I have. So that's navigating the home screen, okay? Just by swiping through and seeing all the different apps on your screen, okay? There are many things regarding the home screen. One is the home button. So if you look on your iPad, if you're holding it upright and you look at the bottom in the middle, that is the home button right here that allows you to switch between apps. I'm not going to be in my slides app forever. So I hit the home button and you see it takes me to my home screen. There are some other options you can do with the home button too, but essentially, yes, you don't want to be in one app or any app forever. And you can also use the home button to turn your screen on. So you see I have my iPad right here. The screen is off. If I hit my home button, it turns the screen on, okay? So please make sure you always remember where the home button is on your device, okay? Icons, so pretty self-explanatory. The app icons, if I tap on an icon, it will take me to that app, but it's not always gonna be an app. These gray ones are called shortcuts, okay? So really quickly, I'll show you how this works. So this one says American Nursing. I just went to a random page, right? But that's one example of a shortcut, right? If you go to a page many times in Safari or your web browser, but I know this works in Safari, you can add it to your home screen very easily. So let's say I go to google.com, right? So I'm just going to a very easy website, right? And then once I'm in Safari and I look at the share button at the top right, that square and the arrow. So the top right, you have the different tabs button. You have the plus button where you can add a tab, so go to another page. And then you have the share button. So when I hit the share button right here, I can then hit add to home screen, title it, okay? Title it right here so I can name it something besides Google. So I'll do that again. I hit the share button right here, and then I scroll and find where it says add to home screen, okay? And then I do that. Google is fine, but I can adjust it to, I can add numbers, but for me, why would I do that, right? Everyone's different. So I'm gonna hit add, and look at that. It just added that shortcut to my home screen, okay? So I just wanted to showcase that, and we'll actually talk about shortcuts towards the end of the session today. Two more things, the dock. So the dock is this, you see this area at the bottom with these apps? No matter if I move the screen, the dock, if you think of a dock, it stays docked right there at the bottom, right? So no matter what screen I'm on, I can see the dock, and these always appear. So the thing like messages, Safari, music, mail, calendar, photos, notes, those are the apps that are right there, very common. Most people or many people use them every day. So it's reasonable why they would be there as well by default, okay? And if you look at the foremost icons, this very last one, this is the app library, okay? You can swipe to the last screen and swipe again to access this menu. You see this is my first screen, but if I swipe here and swipe again, it takes me there, or I can instantly go to the app library here at the bottom right, okay? And look, I can see all of my apps and quickly access or search them here at the top by hitting the search bar for the app library. So how convenient is that? And then with the dock, you can add icons to the dock. So let's say you access an app like all the time, and maybe it's here, right? Or there are many different things with the home screen. There's always some things to learn, right? But let's say I wanted this app, this freeform app. Let's say I wanted it to be at the dock, right? So how I access this, where all the apps are shaking, you can either hold an app or hold an open space on the left or right. You see on the left or right, there's open spaces where there's no apps. I can hold it with my finger, and now the apps are shaking. They're movable. I'll talk about this in just a second too. So let's say I wanted to move freeform down to the dock. All I do is hold and drag. And look at that. I just added the freeform app to my dock. So no matter what screen I'm on, I can always access it very easily, okay? All right, I hope that was helpful for the dock too. And then last but not least, the control center, we talk about this in module 5. If you swipe down from the top right corner of the screen, you can access the control center. This allows you access to many controls. I can turn my Wi-Fi on and off if I want to. Same thing with Bluetooth. I can adjust if I'm playing any music. I can pause it from here. I can adjust my brightness, my volume just with those sliders. I can turn my orientation lock on or off. So you see that from the blank to the white, that's the lock. So again, if I move my iPad, it won't change, right? If I have the lock off, you see vertical, horizontal, right? So we talk about this in module 5, again, the control center, and how it's a very easy shortcut to many other things you can do, right? Instead of having to hit the volume buttons, right, on your iPad, like actually having to hit them and adjust it that way, you can just go to your control center and then just use the slider. It's so much easier on the hands. So that's the control center. That's also the dock, the icons, and the home button, among some of these other things with the iPad. I see a comment here in the chat. I mean, it just depends on what app you're using, so it can appear in many different ways. But typically, when you're in an email app, if you swipe down or hold your finger down the inbox, you can typically refresh it in that manner. So if I go, let's see, if I go to, here you go, right here, if I swipe down, right? So let's see, if I swipe down, like here in my mail app, that's how you refresh, right? So of course there's no other app, no other emails that I'm getting. That's why nothing shows up. So whatever email app that you use, of course, most of us are probably using the mail app, but if I have the Gmail app too, I use that too, or the Yahoo Mail app. Whatever email app that you use, most of the time you can just swipe down from the inbox. So again, one more time, swipe down from the middle, then the inbox, and let go. That's how you refresh it in case you're expecting an email. I use that, like if I send an email to myself, kind of like the email you just saw, right? I sent it to myself. I would just go on my other device where I needed it at, and again, swipe down in the inbox, right? So I just did on my phone, and I got a couple of emails too. So yes, I hope that was helpful. Any comments on getting started with your iPad? Anything new that you learned? Anything that was interesting, that was helpful? You can unmute yourself and share if you'd like.
Alex, I would
Any
like to
comments
know,
on this?
Alex, I would like to know a little bit more about that shortcut. That's the first time I ever really pay attention to that. And the reason for that is because every Sunday when I go on Safari and I put in the name of my church, and then when the next Sunday come, I do the same thing over. So are you saying that I put that on my screen?
Yeah, you can put the website on your home screen, so that way you don't have to go to Safari and then search for it. You can just immediately go to that website. So again, I'm going to use Google for an example. If I wanted to just instantly go to Google and Safari, I can hit the share button that appears at the top right. So then we have the different tabs button. We have the plus button that adds a new tab, and then you have the share button. So the third button. Okay, when you click on it, there are other options. Of course, you can share the page with others by messages, by mail. You know, the share button is pretty typical throughout many different apps. But there are also some other features here that, you know, I always recommend you check out. You can add it as a bookmark or a favorite. So that's another way you could do what you want to do. But here's add. If you wanted to add it to your home screen, you simply just hit add to home screen. Again, you hit the share button and then you hit add to home screen. You title it. So it's called Google. You know, I can add numbers, whatever, emojis or, you know, whatever, right? But I'm just going to name it Google. I'll name it one because I already have one so you can see it. But once you adjust the title of it, it says an icon will be added to your home screen so you can quickly access this website from your default browser. So yes, once I hit add.
Okay, let's do a little walkthrough.
There it is, Google One. You see I named it, right? So yes, so make sure you're in Safari. If you want to follow along, Ms. Dolores, make sure you're also in Safari. And whenever you're at a page, you can hit the share button there at the top right.
Okay, just do a little walkthrough. Like for instance, my church is From the Heart Church Ministry. So are you saying that I type that into the search area where you say google.com, I would put From the Heart Church?
Yes, you would search for whatever you would search for what I just used Google because it was just easy, but you would search for whatever website you may want to add to your home screen. So here's just an example. I go to yahoo.com, or once I'm on the website, great, I can then hit the share button once again at the top right. Hit that share button, you see the menu comes up, right? So you have to look for the option that you want to look for. So we're looking for add to home screen. It's not here, so you have to swipe up and see the more of the options. So there you go, it's add to home screen. Okay. You adjust the title if you would like, but I'm going to keep it like this, for example. And then once you're done, you see it says add right there.
Oh yeah, okay, yes.
And you hit add. So it's really quite simple once you get the hang of it, and it's and it's really convenient. I was really happy to learn about this when I did a few years ago. I was like, oh, I didn't know this, and I used my iPhone for a long time. So you could also do it on an iPhone as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you for sharing. I'll do that as soon as I get out of class.
Yes, Ms. Dolores. Yes, you could try right now. You could just hit your home button and go to Safari right now. It's just, you know, just try it out. And I'm glad we were able to work that out together, Ms. Dolores.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Any other thoughts or any other comments for this page? Again, anything new that you learned, anything that's interesting before our next few sections? All right, okay. Thank you so much for that question. I really appreciate it. Our next section is core features and apps. Okay, so two pretty basic but important things, the App Store and downloading apps. There's over 2 million apps in the App Store. We talk about them almost every advanced session, but also sometimes during our own creations for our Tuesdays and Thursdays. But really, again, the apps are really the main draw of the iPad. There are so many different apps that you can utilize, okay? With the App Store, this is the App Store. This is what it looks like on your iPad, and that's how you download apps on your device. Okay, this is what the App Store looks like on your device when you open it. So let's actually go into the App Store. Let's see, right here, this letter A, blue A, very distinctive. This is the App Store. Again, there are over 2 million different apps here. So look at that. When you're in the App Store, again, we have a whole session on this on YouTube. So make sure you check out downloading apps from the App Store on our channel. This is the today's section. So, you know, the most recent, most upcoming things going on other recommendations. So like a homepage for a website. You can look at games. So there's a specific games tab. So there are games for everyone, you know, puzzle, casual, strategy, role-playing, adventure, action, card games. There's so many options here. Same idea goes for the apps. There are so many different apps. And again, some apps and games, you know, some are free, some are not. And if it's free, you'll see it says get to download, right? Something like Netflix. You can get the app, you know, but you have to have a Netflix subscription to sign in and actually be able to utilize the app, right? But look at that, apps or specific iPad apps or fresh picks or events that are going on within apps. So like this game right here has a special event. So like this one is cosmetics. This one is new features. I think it's amazing, right? To see what is out there, and there's something for everybody. And then last but not least, here in the App Store is the arcade section. We'll talk about the search in a second. But if you would like, arcade is about $5 a month. There's about 200 plus, I would say about 300 games on here that have no in-app purchases, no ads. They are very, very high quality. So I do like Apple Arcade. So this is an option. They even have a free trial, right? It's 1 month free and then $7 a month after. But these games right here, again, if you've ever been in this section, no ads, no in-app purchases at all. They're really fun. I like quite a bit of these that I've played through, some familiar, some new. So check it out if you would like. And then last but not least is this search button right here, okay? At the top one, the last option, this is the search. So you can search for any kind of app, any name, game, whatever, right? So if I just type in cooking, that is, I can see the million, the hundreds or thousands or whatever amount of apps for that. So look, cooking, there's games right here, lots of games. I can make my search a little more specific if I want to. But eventually, again, many different kinds. So like here at the top below the search bar, I can hit recipes. I can kind of filter it in that way. So only the cooking and the recipes app show up. So look at that. New York Times Cooking, Tasty, America's Test Kitchen, Epicurious, Recipe Box. Look at all these different apps, right? Again, some may have in-app purchases, some may have a subscription, but most apps have a free section for whatever, for those particular features. So that's why it's important to look through different apps to see what you like the most, okay? So if you would like to download an app, so one of my favorite apps that I use or play or have fun is the New York Times Games app, right? They have their own app, New York Times Games, right here, New York Times Games, right here. And if you would like to get an app, you can, of course, get it from here. You can hit get on the app, but you can actually click on the app and then see more information like the description, any reviews, what's new, similar apps. So it's really great. One app, you can find many other ones that you like. You're going to hit get, okay? And when you hit get to download an app, you're gonna, again, just follow the instructions. So because I have Touch ID enabled, I don't have to type in, excuse me, my Apple ID or Apple account password. I can just use my fingerprint to then download the app. We talk about that in module 2, but you may see if you don't have Touch ID, you type in your Apple ID password and then you confirm it and then you're able to download it just like this. When you download an app, you see it goes to the next available spot. There's no spots here, right? There's no spots here or here that the app can go into. So it goes in the next available spot. So it's right here. And there you go, you've downloaded the app. Once you do, you can go into the app and explore it. And yeah, it's so fun, exploring new things. So with this app, again, I played it on my other devices for many years now. So I really love this. And they just added new things. So, I love these apps that have more than one thing in it. This has a mini crossword, Sudoku, connections, Wordle, if you like playing Wordle, a regular crossword if you subscribe to that. But you see, even with some apps that may have things locked behind, not a paywall, but some things, they still offer great free things. So I don't mind not being able to access some of the older puzzles, but if I did, then I would, see if a subscription was worth it. Okay, so yes, that's just downloading an app. And also in that slide, I'm going to show you guys really quickly, you can make folders. Okay, who wants to have, it's not wrong, right? It's not bad. Everyone has their own style, right? But for me, sometimes I don't want to, like, hey, there's too much going on this page, right? So what you can do is add your folder or add your apps into a folder, okay? You do that by holding an app with your finger, okay? And then you get the apps to shake like that, or hold the app or hold the side. It really doesn't matter, just as long as you get the apps to start to shake. And then look at that, I can drag one app on another, and there you go. I just created a folder. It titled it games, but if I tap on it, again, everything is still shaking. Look at that, I can click on games and maybe be more specific, right? Action games or something like that, right? So there you go. You can also adjust the title when you have everything, you know, all the apps shaking as well, right? But here's another game. Here's another game right here, etc. And here, I'm gonna make one for social media. So look, here I see Facebook, here it goes with X, there's Instagram. Look, it called it social networking, but again, I may not wanna call it that, just, you know, so anything, right? You could, social, you could just write that if you want. If you're that, you know, type of person, everyone does it differently, which is a-okay. But look at that, you can really, you see the difference it makes? It makes it looks a little less congested. You know, I like it either way. It doesn't really mind to me, but on my phone, you know, I use my phone a lot for many different things. So I do have folders set up, but not for all of them, right? I have about 2 screens on my phone, as you can see, right here. I have about 2 screens that I use. Here it's a little bit more. So it all depends on how you like to navigate, okay? Yvonne, I recommend the Apple News app. For the free, you know, news articles, are plenty of them. So the Apple News, you talked about that in the past. And just I would type in newspaper apps or just newspaper or news in the App Store and see what options come up, because you know there are many different publications. So some are free, some you do have to subscribe to. So I would check out Apple News and then go from there. Because make sure you utilize Apple's built-in apps. So things like Safari, FaceTime, Messages, Mail, Calendar, Reminders. Those are all Apple apps. They're meant to work with the system. So make sure you check those out. We talk about a lot of these in Module 4. And then for Siri, it's your virtual assistant. You can use Siri for many different things. I wish I could activate it with the iPad, but because we're on Zoom, we're using the voice right now, or the mic. But if you would like a virtual assistant, which we all have access to, make sure you utilize Siri. If you want to use Siri with your voice, like with my phone right here, I'm going to say, hey Siri, what's the weather?
It's currently cloudy and 50 degrees.
Yeah, so I can use my voice to activate Siri on my device, okay? So you can do so, again, in settings, and you are going to look for where it says Siri here on the left-hand side, okay? Pretty simple, right? Just go to settings and then find Siri. And then look at that, it says talk to Siri. I have it off on this device, right? But if you would like to use a voice command to activate Siri without having to hold the home button, you can turn that option on. So all I would do is hit Hey Siri, and then some other prompts will come up. Yes, so it says enable Siri, yep. And then it'll, if it's like your first time using it, it may see some other prompts too. So even on my iPad, it activated right there. So keeping that in mind, that's how you turn the voice. But look, press home for Siri, right? If function on, again, I can hold my home button to activate Siri as well. On the 9th gen, this iPad is automatically turned on. I think, again, I'm 95% sure on that, but that option is automatically turned on for you. But on this one, it wasn't, okay? But with Siri, just like you guys heard, you can ask Siri to do many different things, right? So some common voice commands. Hey Siri, what is 12 times 12?
It's 144.
Yep, you can ask it to do math. Hey Siri, I need directions to the convention center.
Getting directions to Walter E. Washington Convention Center.
Yeah, and I see the route. It takes me, yeah, I see the route from my location to the convention center. You can ask it to ask for directions. Hey Siri, open my mail app. And you can ask Siri to open any app for you, right? Hey Siri, open the reminders app. And you see, it takes me straight to the reminders app. How amazing is that, right? Hey Siri, set a 8 a.m. alarm for tomorrow.
It's turned on.
Look at that. I just set an 8 a.m. alarm. Again, if my phone is right there, and if you have, well, mine is plugged in. If you have an Alexa, it's the same idea. You can use your voice to, activate, Siri and ask it to do something for you hands free. Okay. So I think that's very, very amazing. Any quick comments for apps or Siri before we move on? Again, time flies when you're having fun. Any comments or questions or anything new that you guys learned? You can unmute yourself if you'd like. I just turned that option on, well. Thank you. Any thoughts? Thought I saw someone unmute. Any thoughts on the apps or Siri?
Hey, Alex,
Mm-hmm.
it's Miss Celeste. I love Siri. I just use Siri for everything. She's like an Alexa, so I love Siri
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you
for
use some of
everything.
the commands that I tried out?
Yes, I use the commands for directions,
Mm-hmm.
store numbers, locations, the
Yes, you can ask
weather.
Siri
So
to make
yeah,
a contact for you. Yes.
yeah, I love Siri.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Miss Celeste. I really appreciate that. All right. If there aren't any other comments for this, I just recommend you use this weekend to explore the App Store. I love all different apps because they all have a purpose. Okay, Miss Cassandra, did you want to share something real quick
I just
about App Store, about Siri?
yes, I just wanted to ask you again about that the newspaper, the New York Times. What was those initials in the app? Because I was just trying to.
Oh yes, for the games app, it's NYT Games. So
And
you can just
and
type in New York Times. It doesn't have to be the exact word, which is always nice when you use the App Store, but technically it's called the NYT Games. But you can type in New York Times Games and it'll appear like it did when I searched it
okay,
right here in the App Store,
okay.
okay?
Thank you.
Alex,
Mm-hmm.
can you,
My pleasure.
yeah, can you ask Siri to bring up maybe the New York Times for Thursday, February 30th, 2025? Would she bring that up?
Well, if you ask it, I mean, that's a great question. Most of the commands that are like most common are like to the actual features of the device, so the iPad or the iPhone. When you ask questions like that, most of the time it shows you a list of Google results. So you could ask Siri anything. There's nothing you can't ask Siri, but it just depends on the response and what you're asking. So I would test that out and see what it says. See what they say, okay?
All right, thank you.
Yes, anything. Don't put a limit on yourself for anything because literally you could ask anything, you can always try, you can always experiment. And that's how I learned some of those commands. I thought, hey, why don't I ask Siri this? And then when I did, I was like, hey, this is amazing. So I hope that helps out. Okay, just try it. I know we're in Zoom right now and you cannot utilize Siri right this instant, but definitely test it out. So you can do anything you put your mind to. All right, our next tips for today, three ones that we do, two of them we mentioned, or one of them we mentioned during the modules, but the two other ones we have mentioned in the past kind of, that I hope you all learned something new. One is multitasking, okay? So the main two that I showcase, or one I showcase, but now two, is the split view. So you can use two apps side by side, or you can do a slide over. So you can open a secondary app in a floating window. So really quick, let me go to, let's say, let me go to the App Store right here, okay? Doesn't really matter which one. And look, whenever you're in an app, at the top and the middle are these three dots. If I click on those three dots at the top and the middle, you'll see it says full screen, split view, slide over, and close. You may have seen this before and you're like, what did these do, right? You know, I thought that for a while, but when I actually learned about it, it's great. So full screen is pretty self-explanatory. You just see one app on the screen, okay? Split view, when I click on that, look at that, I have an app store, but let's say I wanna have, let's go settings. That wasn't a good example. Some apps, this doesn't work. So I guess that was good to showcase that, right? So let me go back to the app store and then let me hit split view and let me just open, Zoom. So you go. Look at that. Isn't that amazing, right? You can have two apps open at the same time. So maybe you could have Zoom open on one side and maybe your notes app on the other side. And look, I can still navigate it, right? You see the toolbar is now at the bottom when I do this for the App Store, but isn't that amazing, right? You can have two apps at once. So if you have your Notes app on one side and the Zoom, or if you have a game and another app, you know, really it's up to you on what you like to do in regards to how you view things on your device. Let me go back to the full screen. Again, just click the three dots to choose another option if you want. This one is called slide over. So look at that. I have my app store right there, but let's say I go into, let's see. Let me go into this app, so my Libby app. And isn't that amazing? So I have a floating window right here. So I still have both two apps kind of on the same screen, but one is just floating, right? You all notice the black bar right here at the bottom of the app. I can slide one, but look, I can slide between some different apps that I have slide over on for, right? So if I make this full screen, this was my notes app. But look at that, isn't that cool? You can have different apps that you can slide over and access when you're in another app. Okay, I hope you get to test these different features out, okay? Let me go back. Widgets, these are small apps that can display information from other apps. So this is an example of a screen of different widgets, right? You all see the widgets on my screen right here. At the top, these are called widgets, okay? To add a widget to your screen, what you can do is, it doesn't, you know, you can add it to anyone, even if it's full, it'll just move some apps around. But let's go back to the app shaking. Again, you hold the screen where there's no apps. So look, my finger's in the middle, right? My finger's on the side right here, right? Doesn't matter. I hold and I have the app shake. And at the top left, you all see it says edit, right? At the top left, I hit edit. And then I'm gonna hit add widget. Okay, yay. I see your chat, YouTube. Great job. So when you're in the widgets right here, you hit edit and then you hit add widget. Look at that, all the different widgets that you have access to. These are just some suggestions, but look on the left, this is a menu. You can swipe through and see some of the widgets that are there. So maybe I want a Duolingo widget, right? Or maybe to showcase some information, right? Maybe my Libby widget right here, right? Or if I add the mail widget, I can see some previous emails, right? So look, mail, I can do a larger one or a smaller one and kind of, let me hit add widget. So look at that, it's kind of like a mini mailbox. I see two of the emails that are in there. So look at that, it's not an app, right? But it's not an icon either. So it's kind of in the middle. But look at that, if I wanted to go to this email, this one from Apple, look at that, widgets are interactive. It takes me into that app and whatever I want. So let's add another one. Let me hit edit right here and then hit add widget. And let me add another one. So let me go to news, right? So look at that. I can shoot, and I'm just swiping in this section. I can choose the style of widget that I want. So look, these are the topics, a topic that I'm interested in, or I could just do today, right? So look at this. I can do a bigger one, a smaller one, or a mini one for the today stories. Isn't that amazing, right? So here, let me hit add widget. And there's another widget for, this one is for the news. If I go to let's see, this one, there's the larger version right here. in this, you see you can have multiple widgets in one. You can do that too, right? But let me see if that works right here. No, doesn't work like that. You have to actually hold the specific widget. And what you can do is, hold this one. I think it's just for the bigger one. So again, I'm learning new things every day. There's so many little things that goes on. So that can change, right? So look, this one, the bigger one, oops. When you hold the bigger one, you can hit edit stack. So when you have a large display like this, you can hit edit stack. And look, I can hit the add button at the top left and add another widget. And I can swipe through them. So look at that. Again, I know that was kind of fast, but just to showcase what, the capabilities are really endless, with the device. So again, you can go through and really, make your iPad you. You know what I'm saying? And then last but not least for this section is passwords and shortcuts. So you have a passwords app. This is what the app looks like. You can easily access your passwords, your passkeys, your Wi-Fi passwords, and other credentials, okay? This is with the iPad OS 18. So make sure your iPad is updated. And it comes with all of that. So the passwords app, let me look for it. It's right here. Looks like 3 keys. This is downloaded on all devices once you update your device. When you go into passwords, of course, mine are locked. You have, no one's going to be able to access them besides me with my Touch ID. And I don't have, these 3 are, fine. I don't have any personal ones here, but this is what it looks like. I wanted to showcase what it looks like so you can best see it, right? But look, these are 3 passwords that I have saved. So the Zoom, website that I use, a game that I'm logged into. But look, if I hit this top left icon, this is the menu. So look, my passkey is my if I wanted to look at my Wi-Fi passwords, there's that section right there. And the passwords app also lets you know if you have a password that's compromised or easy to guess. So you would see a red exclamation next to any of these too. If you wanted to add your own password without having to sign in to the website, but then you'll be able to autofill passwords, you can hit the plus button and then add a username and a password and a website. So not saying this is mine, of course, but let's say I wanted to sign in Apple, not .com, or just app. I can just write, you can label it too. It doesn't have to be a website, right? Apple account. And then I would write in my Apple ID or Apple account here. Then in password, I would write the password here. And then you can add any notes, right? And then once you do, you can hit save. But most of the time, when you sign in, a banking app. So let's say I have Chase, right? When I sign into Chase on my phone, because I have that password saved, if it was on my iPad, I would use my Touch ID to be able to sign in instantly, or I'll use my Face ID on my phone. So again, with passwords, you don't have to remember every single password and even have it written down on a paper. I myself, I don't have any passwords written down. I have them here in my passwords app that I love. It's very secure, very safe, and it allows you to very easily access your different items. Because, if they tell you, and you should have different passwords for everything, who can remember that, right? I wouldn't be able to remember 20 different passwords for different things. That's just, not reasonable. So I love the passwords app, okay? And the other app I want to highlight is the shortcuts app. So I haven't talked about this before. I'm glad I'm able to do so. You can create custom automations with this app. So this is what it looks like. Let me go back to it really quick. This is what the shortcut apps looks like on your screen. Again, this is something you don't have to download yourself. It's already on your device, okay? Unless you manually removed it yourself, okay? But most of us should have this. And this is right here, the shortcuts app. And it does what it says. It's just shortcuts, right? So look at all these different options. Again, I don't understand 100% of everything in this app because there is quite that goes into it. But what I will say, this is the gallery. So when it loads, it probably will showcase some other shortcuts, right? So quick shortcuts. These are some of the examples that she can do. very quickly. So look, email myself. So that's convenient. If you ever wanted to email yourself really quickly, you don't have to go to the email app and then type in your name or your email, your own email, to send an email to yourself. You can do so with this option. Get organized. This one is split screen 2 apps. So look, if I, tap on it or click on it, I can see more information, set up, and then I can hit setup shortcut to do so, or I can hit this plus sign. And what is the first app? Oh, wow, this is cool. So let's say my books app, and then my second app. So maybe, let's see. What can I do? This app right here. And let me add the shortcut. So that's just one example when I did that. And if I go here to the shortcut, let me see where it was located. Oh, I don't think I hit the option. I thought I did. And sometimes that does happen. So let me see. What happened when I hit that option? Is usually this shortcut would appear as soon as that happened. Split screen 2 apps. How do I do that? Set up shortcut. Set up 2 apps side by side. So what happens if I go to Libby? Let me just see. Again, that's how I did that so I could show you, just kind of see what happens when something happens that you don't expect, and you just kind of have to figure out what happened. So let me go to Libby. And then it didn't do so. So sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. And let's try it. Let's try another one. Okay. So let's go to clock. I love this one. So let me hit add alarm. Let me try that one. Let me see. Maybe an alarm. Oops. At 10 a.m. Let's see what happens with that. Again, it's just something I want you to explore and see how it can be useful for you. So I just added that shortcut. And look at the top right, I can see now that I have an alarm set up. Very interesting. Just seeing what actually happens. If I go to my alarms, so I'm using the control center to access, let's see my alarms. I see it's here as well. I thought it would appear on, and sometimes things like that happen, you know? You learn something and you just kind of have to go with the flow and see what happens. So like all shortcuts. So here's a shortcut. There you go. And you see, that's how you learn how to do different things. You go back, you try again, and you get split screen, this option right here. It did the thing that I asked it to do, right? It took me to the split screen. And how can I add this to my, well, these are the app shortcuts. So I guess they just appear under here. Yeah, okay. That's making more sense again as you go through it. And then these, the gallery, this just I guess actionable shortcuts that you can do. One more with this. Let's see, word of the day. What is that? Let me hit add. Let me add that word of the day. So look, let me go back to all shortcuts, and then let me click on it. Okay, allow word of the day to fetch a website feed from Merriam-Webster. Okay, I'll hit allow. And today's word of the day is audition. Who knew, right? So wow, isn't that cool? Again, just going through the gallery. This is, I think, what I was mainly talking about before. The gallery, these are some in-house shortcuts that you can do, and the automation. Let me try this out, new automation. Yeah, and there's kind of a few options here. So I definitely recommend you check it out. You can have a shortcut. So when I get an email from someone, you can send them something else or respond, right? Or arrive, or here's the app, run after confirmation. So yeah, you don't have to understand every single thing that you can do in an app, course, the more that you do it, the more you learn. But hey, I just learned a whole ton of the shortcuts. So, this can definitely be a way to grab information quite quickly in one app. So I hope you all get to utilize this as well, okay? All right, let's see. All right, any quick thoughts about multitasking, about the widgets, about the passwords? Any thoughts on this before we move on? Hope you guys learned a lot with this section so far. Any thoughts or comments on this section? You can unmute yourself if you'd like.
It was kind of interesting in reference to the passwords
Mm-hmm.
that you just went over. I've seen that icon, but I never used or never paid any much attention to it. And so you're saying that we can use that to put our passwords in and it be safe and secure?
Yeah, so most of the when you sign into a website, so again, let's take from my banking app, for example. The first time I signed into the app, it asked me, hey, do I want to save that password for later or for autofill? So if you see that option come up, it will actually store the info for you in the passwords app. You can also manually add one if you would like with that Apple example, because Apple won't have that thing come up for that. So for me, I have my Apple ID or Apple account password and info in my passwords app in case I ever forget it, and it's safe in the passwords app because I have that lock. So I needed my Apple ID password or Apple account password or the my Touch ID to be able to access them. So yes, it's very safe, and you can manually or digitally add those passwords and information.
Okay, and the way you just did it a few minutes ago was the manual way, which I didn't get the steps down.
Yeah, so when you're what I recommend, just I know it is quite a bit of information today, but definitely just look for common symbols. So if I go back to the passwords app real quick, and I'm trying to add a password, I'm probably looking for like a plus or an addition, and I see it right here at the bottom of the passwords app. That's that plus. So just like in the contacts app, if you want to add a contact, you hit the plus button. If you want to add a background in the Zoom app, you can hit the plus button. So a lot of these buttons are very similar amongst different apps. So I would definitely check it out, okay?
Okay, so I tapped on the icon where it say password, and then once I tap on that, then I tap on the plus sign and then follow those instructions.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, please explore it, Ms. Dolores. It's there to help, okay?
Yeah, I'm just kind of worried about security because, like you say, I do have passwords and I do write them down in a notebook, but I never thought about putting it in the iPad.
Yes, and unfortunately, you may never know what happens or the next day or, even that same day. Unfortunately, I just thought of the wildfires and just imagine like those folks losing information and documents. And I would hate to have like these passwords and not, have to look at them. And, if I have a lot and then they're lost one day, it's good just to have them safe on a device that you can easily access. And they're all in just one place. So I would definitely check it out, okay?
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. And our last topic for today, thank you all for the comments and questions. They're very, very helpful. Really quickly is personalization and settings. So you can customize your iPad in many different ways with a wallpaper. You can change your display, your brightness, your text size. We talked about these in the past, but I'll quickly also just go over how to do these. To add a wallpaper to your iPad, so like the one I have on mine right now, you're going to go to settings and click on wallpaper on the left. It's so easy, right? Settings and then wallpaper. And then you can choose a wallpaper that you've done in the past. So again, just swiping and dragging, right? I think that's a lot of what we learned. We have to make sure we navigate our device as best we can, So I'm swiping through. Again, it's taking a minute for them just to kind of load. But if you want to add a new wallpaper, you simply click on add new wallpaper. Again, you can have as many as you want. And there's so many different ones you can have, like an emoji wallpaper or a weather one, or some of these featured ones from Apple as well. Just taking a second to kind of load with photos, use a filter, use a template, it's really up to you. So I love the astronomy one. I think that one's pretty cool. Here's the Earth. So there you go. I tapped on it. I can add widgets here on the left-hand side, just like we added before. I can adjust the title. I can do Earth, or I can do the moon, Mars. I could swipe through and choose whatever planet, right? Let's do Neptune, because I love blue, right? Once you're done, you hit add, and then you can do as a pair. I usually hit this option, so that way my lock screen and my home screen are that wallpapers. So look at that. Isn't that a nice change? You know, I haven't changed my wallpaper in a minute, so that was fun. And then you can also adjust your display, brightness, and text size. So if you go to display and brightness in settings, you will find these features there. You can adjust, have it dark mode or light mode. Okay, you all should see that on your end as well. You can adjust the text size, make it larger or smaller. You can make it bolded text. So on this iPad, I do have it bold text. It's a lot easier for me to see when it's bolded. And you can adjust the brightness here. It is also found in this section right here, in the control center, as we talked about. And then the lock. So auto lock, I have it 5 minutes. If I don't use my iPad for 5 minutes, if I'm not on a call or watching a video and it's just standing there, not doing any movement on the screen, it will shut off in 5 minutes, okay? So you can adjust it. When I'm at an event, maybe I'll have it for never because I don't want the screen to turn off, but of course the battery go down more because the screen is going to be always on. So I typically have it for about 5 minutes, okay? So that's the text display and brightness. You're going to adjust those in your wallpaper. And then battery life. I think we had mentioned this before in the beginning, just making sure your battery use it throughout the day. Check to see if you need to charge it at night. If you do, then charge it. If not, then use it the next day. And then rinse and repeat. All right. So thank you. Again, this is a pretty quick section, but again, wallpapers, display and brightness, text size, and just keep in mind our battery, how we can look and adjust our battery usage if we need to, etc. Okay, so for today's section or session, we went over many different concepts that I hope you all enjoyed. Some simple and some hopefully new. We went over an introduction about the iPad, getting started, some core features of the iPad as well, alongside some productivity tips with multitasking and widgets and some very useful apps, and then learning how to customize our iPad as well with wallpapers, display, and text size. What I highly recommend you do if you want to learn more about your iPad is utilize the Tips app. So this is my last tip for you all today. This is the Tips app, this yellow icon with the light bulb. If you click on the Tips app, you can get many different tips, many different things, okay? Look at that. So at the top left, I can hit the menu button in the Tips app, navigate your iPad. Look, go straight home, switch between apps, open the control center, take a screenshot. Many of the things we talk about are straight from here, right? The tips section, because they have a lot of great tips. So practice key gestures. Look at that. Tap, touch, or hold. And they even have where you can try it out. So look, try it. I can tap a photo. This is great to be able to practice navigating. Look, this one is hold and see all the other options, right? So practice again, tap a photo, it expands it. If I hold a photo, I see more options like copying, sharing, right? But you can go really down the rabbit hole with this. What's new in iPad OS 18? So some new features. Personalizing your iPad. One, look, your devices. Since I have AirPods connected, I can look at my AirPods guide right here. And then look, iPad, user guides iPad. If you want to learn about anything on your iPad, use the iPad user guide on your iPad. I hit table of contents. Look, if I want to learn about basics, personalizing your iPad, working with text and graphics, apps, so different apps. So if you want to learn how to use maps or measure the passwords or the photo booth, the TV app, any of Apple's apps right here, accessories, wallet and Apple Pay, screen time. There are just so many different options. So let's say I go into how to use the health app, right? So getting started with health. This is what will appear. You read and see all the different things that you can do within that app, and you can want to learn more. So look, you can log your state of mind and health on the iPad. So yes, these are things that you will learn while exploring, but also just going in here in the tips app for you to utilize, okay? So that was my last app and last tip for you all today. I hope you all enjoyed. If you enjoyed our session today, if you learned something new, if you had fun, if you're going to test out some of these features in the coming weekend, please raise your hand in Zoom. And if you enjoyed the session today, if you learned something new from the questions, from the presentation, from others, you had fun, please raise your hand in Zoom. Just love to see your thoughts. And, you know, if you guys benefit from the information today, I was looking for that. Thank you. And then I also have some 2 questions for you all as well. So if you would like, you don't have to, you can share any responses to these 2 questions. So pretty simple. What is one new thing that you learned today? What did you enjoy about today? What features will you be exploring further from the session today? And or what additional information about the iPad would you like to learn more about? Okay. So yes, any hands? I'd be more than happy to hear any thoughts or answer any questions. Yes, the Tips app is already downloaded on the device. Again, you don't have to download it. It comes with the, this is a older app. It's the Tips app has been out since I think iPadOS 17. So yes, just go on your home screen and you can check it out. All right, so again, if you would like to answer one of these questions or share any general thoughts, make sure that you raise your hand and stay on for our poll at the end, okay? First up is Miss Ann. Thanks so much for joining today.
Hello.
Yes,
Can
Miss
you hear
Ann, you
me?
had, yes, did you have
Okay.
an answer to one of these questions?
Yeah, thank you so much for today's review. I learned so much, but I'm still not great at Safari. I would like to learn more on that with future, not today. I learned a little bit. I like to learn more on Safari. So everything is new, but I'm learning as we go. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Miss Ann. I would check out Module 4 when we have that again. That's when we talk about Safari. And you can also take a look at Module 4 on our YouTube channel as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah, Safari is so important. So thank you so much. You gotta learn how to use the internet browser so you can search for many different things. Thank you. Hi, Miss Helen. Hope you're well. You had comments for today or answers to these questions? Thank you so much for joining. Miss Helen, you gotta hit unmute in the middle if you would like to share. Okay, yes, Miss Helen, just let me know if you have a question, okay? And then Miss Celeste, thanks so much for joining today. Got a comment or answers to these questions?
I learned a lot, but I'll just making a comment. I love Sari and as far as the tips, but I had a question. Can you connect a phone to your iPad?
Let me ask, what is the reason why you would do that? So let me know the reason so I can best answer your question.
I'm just asking, say like if I wanted to, in my phone list, call someone from my iPad, would I be able to do that or no?
Do you have an iPhone, Miss Celeste?
Yes, I do.
So are you logged into the same Apple ID on your phone and your iPad? So if you are, that's great. What I recommend that you do is they should be on both devices. If you add a contact on your phone, it should appear on your iPad as well. So before we talked about iCloud, so make sure in your iCloud settings, let me go back here really quick. So when you hit settings, when you tap on your name and then you click on iCloud, you're going to see your various iCloud settings. So make sure that just all of your apps, so like your contacts, etc., that when if you see it says save to iCloud, right? Hit see all, you would hit that and see, make sure all of those apps that you want to basically sync between your 2 devices are on. So make sure that the contacts app is on, make sure so, you know, the other ones that are there, like mail, you know, that,
Oh, okay.
but they should be. So if you go on your contacts app right now on your iPad, you should
Mhm.
see the same contacts that is on your phone.
It
And if
is.
not,
Mhm.
yeah. So yes, that's the
Okay.
benefit of having a two Apple or the same kind of devices, two Apple devices. So one goes with the other, and it makes things really easy. So you don't have to do like
Yeah.
double the work, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you.
My pleasure, Miss Celeste. Thank you so much for your question. I love it. Yes. Just want to make sure I answer it best. I'm so happy and grateful you clarified that because, you know, there are many different things that you can do. So, most likely between device to device, it's not rare, but, you know, most of the time, like it's through Bluetooth. So, in one way, shape, or form, wireless connection. I would not see a reason to connect my phone like physically with a cord to my iPad unless there's something that I don't know, but I have never done that in the past. So but that was a good question. All right, our last one for today is from Miss Dolores. Our last comment or question. Again, thanks so much for joining today, Miss Dolores. Hope you learned a lot. You got to make sure you hit unmute in the middle, okay? Yes. Oh, I see your comment, Miss Cunningham. I appreciate that. Yeah, you can add widgets. You can remove widgets, adjust them, and make them into a stack. And that way you can go through them and have them all in one place, or you can have different widgets, or maybe one page dedicated to widgets, or as you can see, I have a little bit of, you know, some widgets, some apps. So again, it's really up to you on how you like to utilize those ones.
Mhm.
But I use them all the time. Hi, Ms. Loris, do you have a question or comment?
Comment. I'm be honest with you, I'm starting off by saying when I first got the iPad, all my icons and things at the top. I'm really having a hard time with it being at the bottom of the screen. That's what would take me
Uh,
so long to get in. Trying
and
to
that's
figure out what
fine. So
to
yeah,
tap.
yeah. For Zoom, again, things change, apps change, overlays change. So I would definitely, you know, yesterday in module 6, we talked about, you know, the top and the bottom for
Yeah,
Zoom. So I would, you know, just, you know, take a few minutes or explore that this weekend and just really seeing the different options or checking out module 6 or just testing out your own Zoom meeting. Start your own meeting, and that way you can take a look at the different controls and see how you can go
yeah.
about it. So yes, it definitely is an adjustment for me too. When I
Definitely an
first saw that, I
adjustment.
was like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah, but you know, you just have to look at it and
but other than that, in reference to
mm-hmm,
today's session, I did enjoy some of the app as far as the keys. I also enjoyed the tips app and as well as the Wiggins
mm-hmm,
app. So
yes.
very informative. So I will be using those three because those are one I've really focused on today. So I thank you for those tips that you just gave out, and I'm sure everybody else enjoyed as well.
Oh, my pleasure, Miss Dolores. Make sure you check this video out on our channel so you can review and learn more, okay?
Thank God for that. I can go over again because, like I said, it's
Yes.
quite a
I
lot
always
to
say
take
it.
in.
I always say the YouTube channel, but it's really there to help out. So please review this session and maybe you can check out some other things too. But I love your focuses. They're so important, and I wish you the best of luck with them, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, Miss Dolores. Thank you so much. All right, you all. Well, thank you again for coming in our session today. I know we're a little longer than usual, but definitely wanted to showcase these different tips and really just practice them throughout the weekend. Take a few days. You don't have to do it all one day or one session with yourself. Test these features out and see how they can help you out in your daily life. All right. Well, again, thank you all so much for coming on our session today. We really appreciate it. Make sure you stay on for our poll. And thanks so much for attending our session today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.